Well, welcome back into the Mid-Norfolk garden here in a beautiful, peaceful summer evening with the sunlight just streaming across from the west through this border. And we're going to show you some of the Delphinium varieties that we've planted in this garden as part of the intermingled planting. It's predominantly a rose garden, this, and we've got a lot of new rose varieties that we're going to show you as they come into their flowering prime over the next couple of weeks. They've already had their first flush, being dead-headed, but this video is all about the delphiniums that we're interplanting. And just look at this. When I first saw it, I really expected that it wasn't going to be a delphinium, or somebody had the spray paint out, and I've still got my suspicions as to whether this is truly going to come back year after year with this colour. It's a new variety called Red Lark. We found it in a local garden centre in full flower, good single stem specimen plants, and we've put a planting of 3 into this border, and I've never seen this before. It must be new on the market. I don't really keep too much of an eye on the big show displays of what's coming through. I was really pleased with some of the doubles that we've managed to obtain for this planting, which we're going to show you in a minute. It's inspired by the planting down at East Ruston Old Vicarage in their walled garden, where they've got a spectacular display of just double and full, almost triple flowered blues and purple delphiniums. But this is a new one to us, and we'll see how that does and if it flowers true in subsequent years and how hardy it's going to be. This is more what I think of when I think of delphiniums and the colour palettes that they come in. This one is a variety called Sky Blue, and as you can see, it's a combination, double flowers almost, with a purple centre, this one, and a beautiful blue outer. And the overall effect as it fades, as you can see here in the shade, is for the purple to sort of fade away and the flower left in a beautiful blue. There's quite a bit of variation in this one. This is a same variety. Again, far less purple in this, and the actual buds as the stems come up almost look as if it's going to be a pure white. Interesting variety, and one that I think with its multi-stemmed crowns should do very well and establish itself quite nicely here in this garden. Here are the classic whites, full double flowers. The variety here is Galahad, and a lovely clump we've got here of this one, suffering a little bit from some mildew, but nothing that I'm too worried about considering the problems we've had with the dryness of this season. Keeping this watered has been quite a challenge. Because they're in their first year and just getting established, we've not actually had to support any of these currently. We've got a planting here of about 4 or 5, which should give us a really nice backdrop to the rose planting that's around them, and will get far more dominant in subsequent years. Back over into the adjacent border, and this one is called Black Knight. Not as dark as some of them, but a lovely combination of deep, rich burgundy purple with blue outers. It tends to hold its colour as it fades. You can see that long stem there of the seeds coming up. Nice healthy plants, plenty of young flower stems coming up from the crowns as well. That one looks like it could be a good grower and should do well here. This double purple variety is called Astalat. Very nice full flowers, self-supporting, plenty of stems. Just look at those coming up from the crown. It's going to continue to flower this for quite a lengthy season. We'll deadhead this as it finishes on these flowering stems to encourage those new growths up from the base. We're not feeding these at all this first season or supporting them. Haven't had any breakages. It's quite a sheltered position, this. Having said that, and I think in subsequent years as the roses grow around these, we'll definitely be introducing some form of plant support to ensure that these flowering spikes, which can get extremely tall and extremely heavy if they're not supported by the roses growing around them, don't break off in the wind. These plants went in quite a bit later than the ones we've just shown you. This is Paroma Black Velvet, a lovely full proper double flower. Just look at that, triple ones almost. These are like the ones we saw at East Ruston that inspired us to go Delphinium shopping this season. And boy, did we find a lot of varieties on offer and some really good, well-established plants. Earlier in the season we were buying literally seedlings, smaller versions of this, very cheap to buy, and at that stage easy to get established, and they've grown on very well. But by July we were able to buy these more established full plants in flower and see exactly what you're getting, and by planting them in 2s and 3s we should get a real display here next year. Another mixed purple blue called Dark Blue Dark B. Again, suffering from a little bit of mildew, a late introduction into this border. Hasn't really got the height of the other ones, but again, plenty of bud coming on, and although they're not going to be too tall, I think these are getting themselves well established and putting their roots down nicely. So next year these should give us a real good display of this rather spectacular double purple blue mixed flower spike. And the last one to show you in this Delphinium video is this pale mauvey white with these lovely little frills on the petals. I think this one's going to be spectacular when it gets going. It's called Juliet. They came with big central spikes which have been cut down and dead-headed so they don't run to seed. Again, a little bit of drought dieback on the leaf here, but they're getting established, and if we can keep these watered for the rest of the season, I'm hopeful this nice mixed planting we've got running throughout this rose garden of these delphiniums should give us a real spectacular display next July and August. Thanks for watching.